Welcome to the Record Stop. I'm your host for today, Alex Irwin, and I'm here to talk about the wonderful world of vinyl. I get so many questions about this hobby of mine, but I think the best place to start is with this one. How did the vinyl record come about? The story of vinyl starts in 1877, when Edison invented the phonograph, which played with a sort of a tinfoil wrapped grooved metal cylinder. This proved to not be all that viable. It created a lot of excess noise. So a decade later, Edison switches over to a hollow wax cylinder. Along with the better sound, it was also a lot more durable in terms of keeping the recording intact. Now I know what you might be thinking. Cylinder? I don't see cylinders anymore. And you'd be right, you don't see cylinders anymore. Because Emile Berliner developed the first lateral cut disc in 1889. They were about 5 inches in diameter and worked on his self-built gramophone. Lateral cut disc as in the type of disc that we see nowadays, where it's like you take a cylinder and just go chop right in the middle of it. Originally, they weren't as good as Edison's cylinders, but with his associate Eldridge R. Johnson, they worked on improving the disc to a point where it was, in fact, better than the cylinders. This stuff was made of hard rubber to begin with, so it was a very tough material to work with in terms of recreating sound. By 1901, they formed the Victor Talking Machine Company and started to dominate the market with their 10-inch and 12-inch records. These records could only play about 3 to 4 minutes, respectively, as they were going at about 160 RPM. A smooth operator. In the early 1900s is when development changed from creating the product to improving it. Now that they had the disc, they had to make it better, starting with the 78 RPM standardization. RPM is revolutions per minute. It's how fast the record spins on the turntable. This standard was created to match the peak performance of the motors in the turntables available at the time. What this means is that it created a platform for all records produced to have the ability to make the most out of the hardware, as there would no longer be variances in sound due to different RPMs. With it also came the Shellac Record. These records were produced between 1900 and 1950 and were made with shellac resin, cotton fibers, and mineral filler. They were cheaper to produce than the hard rubber discs beforehand, and they were usually about 10 inches in diameter, though through the years they would develop into 12-inch discs. They varied between 3 to 5 minutes in playing time, depending on the size. The downside of using shellac records were that they were very, very fragile. They would shatter incredibly easily, and due to this, they continued looking for new ways to improve on the record. Concerning this, the industry saw its big break after World War II, and this is where we would see the modern-day record emerge. After trial and error, Columbia Records would release the microgroove long-playing record, also known as the LP, in 1948. This disc was played at 33 1/3 RPM and made of polyvinyl chloride. The advantage of this record cannot be overstated. The microgrooves and slower RPM allowed for far more content to be grammed on the 12-inch disc, around half an hour's worth compared to the Shellac's 4 minutes. On top of that, the surface of vinyl was much quieter, so playback contained a lot less surface noise. The final advantage of vinyl had over shellac: durability. Vinyl can bend a lot easier, thus was more durable during transport and handling. Shellacs would shatter. Vinyl, it was very, very hard to shatter them. These advantages knocked shellac out of the industry and would keep vinyl reigning as the king into the present day. And that is how the modern day record came to be. From a tin cover cylinder to a vinyl disc, the record has had a long journey to get where it is today. On the next segment of the Record Stop, we will talk about 45s and how these jukebox discs came to be. See you at the next stop.